Welcome, everyone, to BlackLoveandMarriage.com, where we're all about the business of building individuals who can then build their relationships and make sure that they build their families. I am so happy and so pleased today to be here with none other than my other half, the brother who makes me get a little warm and fuzzy, and that is Ayize Ma'at. He is here with me today, and we're going to be talking to a wonderful couple who we are about to introduce to you in a few moments, and we were introduced to not that long ago. But my husband here is wonderful. He is beautiful. He is kind. He is my protector. He is my wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man, and I'm so happy to be doing this interview with you today, sweetie. How you doing?
I'm doing good, baby. I like the way you're looking at me while you're saying that. And I'm here with my queen, my sweetheart, the love of my life, my best friend, my beautiful intellect, my soulmate, just that divine spirit that just got my back. So.
Okay.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'll just let folks know how we came to know this powerful young black married couple. They are a wonderful couple that has done some things in the area of childbirth, in the area of raising a family. And when I was first sent their video on Twitter, one of our wonderful Twitter followers sent us a video that we're going to talk about in a moment. I was so moved, to say the least. Weren't you moved, Ayize?
I definitely was.
I was sitting on the bed in the bedroom, and my husband came in. He said, "You got tears in your eyes?" and I was a little teary, so I was like, this is so beautiful. And so who we're getting ready to introduce to you is a young married couple. They just gave birth to their 7th child. Wow. They are in the business of building family, building their relationship, and it's a wonderful thing. Their names are Shampoya and Ezekiel Israel. Now, y'all tell me, did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
That's fine. All right. Y'all know we know all about it because we're Ayize and Iyana Ma'at. So folks sometimes are like, say it again. So I'm glad I said it right. Welcome to the show. How are y'all doing today?
Thank you very much for having us. We're doing really good.
We're doing great. Good. Well, like I said, we were really moved by your video and said, we need to reach out to them and learn a little bit more about them. And I'm just so happy that the two of you all are here. Now, before we get started, this is BlackLoveandMarriage.com, so we stay warm and fuzzy over here. We always got to keep it warm and fuzzy for us. And just want to know, I want Ezekiel to first, can you tell us a little bit about how y'all came together, how you met each other, how long you've been married, and just give us your love story really quickly if you can.
Well, my wonderful queen, I call her Shami for short. We met about 13 years ago, and this was in church we met. I had actually seen her around probably maybe for about a year or two before that. But at the time, I was probably more focused on a spiritual journey at that portion in my life. And a couple years later, we would have it that we really just began running into each other coincidentally, and I say that quote unquote, because it began happening so frequently that we were like, well, this got to be more than coincidence, because we would run into each other literally in very varied places. And from that point on, we began to build a relationship that has really, changed my life completely.
Wait a minute, I got to pause you. Can you say that one more time? I want people to hear that. You said it did what?
I said we began a relationship that changed my life completely. Because at the time, what I was doing as part of that spiritual journey is really focusing on commitment. I was really, in a sense, committed to her before I even met her.
Wow.
And it's important because I was just really looking for the person to be committed to. It's kind of like if you're going to go and buy a house and you're going to get like a 30-year mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you already know you're going into a 30-year mortgage. So you're going to make sure that, you know, this house is the right house that you want, you know, that you plan to be in. And that's pretty much where I was at the time. So when I met her, and things just started happening and falling into place, it for me it was more confirmation of the commitment that, you know, we continued down that path. But that was really what it was. I was really committed to having a relationship with a strong black woman before I even met her.
Oh, wow. Shani Paria, what attracted you to Ezekiel, and you know, what led you on this path with him?
Well, in the beginning, I was at a place where I had just sort of went through this freeing mental freedom. I went through this experience where I was in a relationship and realized it wasn't going the way it was supposed to go, or the way I thought it was going to go, and I kind of like just had to go through a cleansing process, and was just going through it, you know, just very free at the time, and I felt really good. When I began to see Ezekiel, the thing that I think drew me to him the most was just his humility. He was he had his disposition was quiet but yet strong at the same time. I don't know. he was quiet but he was strong, and he was very humble. You know, I at the time, you know, many of the brothers that I was used to approaching me, you know, they were very flamboyant, or just, you know, they were trying to show me one thing or the other, or trying to impress me or flatter. And I was never really about that type of thing. I knew what I wanted, and I when he came along with this sort of like he said, it's like he just kind of fell into place. Like, okay, this is the person. Definitely, this is the person. Why does it feel like I've known him? You know, I've known him forever. You know, and I remember specifically there was a time at the time before we met. I was working at a nursery preschool as a teacher, and I remember some coworkers there. There was a guy that had just started working there, and they were kind of like, oh, you know, he's single, you know, oh, you know, he's in college, oh, maybe he's someone you, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, you know, and at the time, we weren't exactly involved with one another, me and Ezekiel, but I did know that he had some interest in me, and I remember sitting there one day, the children were napping in the class, and I remember I took out my notebook, and I sat there and I thought to myself, well, let me make a list here. I'm going to put his name on one side. I'm going to put this other guy's name on the other side. And let me just list the things that stand out to me about these two particular persons. And so I did that. And after listing maybe 6, 7, 8 things, I'm going over it, and I said, you know, well, everything that all the attributes that I'm looking at on Ezekiel's side, you know, I see, you know, he's committed, he's spiritually strong, he's very mature, he's stable, you know, he just had a very strong sense of stability, he seemed secure, he seemed like he knew what he wanted. These are just different things that I wrote down, and I remember on the other side, you know, okay, this person, you know, I think I kind of jotted down the things that I had heard about him, because I didn't really know him, you know. Sure. And so I said, okay, well, you know, a lot of the things about this other person seems to be external things. Okay, you know, he was a basketball player, and you know, a lot of females were attracted to him, and you know, that type of thing. And it was just, you know, it was more of the flattery, and I was never really into that. And so I said, okay, you know what? I think this brother is. I'm leaning more towards him here. So I remember, and that was like what really, you know, that's what really, when I did that, I said that something clicked in me, and I said, yeah, I think I'm going to go this direction here. And that is what happened, yeah.
That's a big thing. I think for those who are listening, I think it's important for folks to really pay attention to one of the things that you just said, everything that you said, but one of the things that you just said stood out to me is you said when you made the list, one list was comprised of things that were more internal, and the other list was comprised of things that were more external. And we know that when we are looking at, you know, somebody who might potentially be our mate, that we're looking at all of it, but what it seems that folks today in 2011 don't really understand is that the majority of what you should be assessing and analyzing about another person is internal. And I think that that's really important. It's about what kind of character do they have, what potential resides within, what kind of spirit do they possess, what kind of intellect are they trying to grow within themselves. Those kinds of things are things that really make a good relationship and ultimately a good, strong marriage. Now, I want to move us along a little bit and move on to the cute little baby. This little baby is on our, did y'all see that we have your little baby on Nasir on our website today?
Yes, I saw it this morning. I was like, oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, he is so cute. Gosh, he is gorgeous, gorgeous. And I know that he just came into the world on July 30th. He shares a birthday with our youngest son. Our youngest son turned, his name is Adaye, and he just turned 4 on July 30th. So
wonderful. It's
a real special day, You all just had this newest edition come into the world, and I just want to talk a minute about the fact that you all did a home water birth. That's what we have on the site today. You did a water birth at home. And if you could just kind of, for me and for those who are listening who have no idea, you know, what does it mean to have a home birth, a water birth? What does it mean when you're looking at that in comparison to a hospital birth? Tell me what the significant differences are. Shomipoya.
Well, the first thing I'll say is that as far as the home birth is concerned, it's just freedom. It's freedom. It's autonomy to do what you want, to be your own individual, to do as your intuition leads you to do, as opposed to having others dictate to you what you should be doing, or how you should be feeling, and how your body should be progressing. That is the first biggest thing. You know, it's a much safer environment, in my opinion, and just from, you know, the stories that I have heard, it's just a much safer environment for mother and baby. You know, there are a lot of spiritual things that go on during pregnancy. Well, spiritual things that go on all the time, but there's a lot of spiritual things that go on during pregnancy and birth. It becomes a much more heightened experience for the pregnant mother. And what happens is, particularly in this day and age, we are not tuned into ourselves. We don't know what that is. We don't know what it is to use our intuition to be able to feel and determine the condition or the state of our child just by us using our senses. You know, we've tuned that out because we've learned to trust in the quote unquote professionals. So that is just, you know, that's one of the bigger things, is really just tuning into yourself and learning to trust. You know, learning to trust, because we don't, you know, we don't do that. We want to put our trust in everything that is external of ourselves. And then when things don't go the way we would like them to go, then we kind of, you know, we fall apart, or, you know, we have to live, you know, with the consequences of those actions. So that is, I guess that would sum it up. Yeah.
Brother Ezekiel, we noticed that you were in the video, you know, lending a helping hand. And
he was on it, okay? In the video, I'm telling you, he was like, I've got duties and I've got responsibilities, and he was on it, handing you what you needed. He was right there.
Let me ask you all this question. Ezekiel, did you all have a home water birth for all of your children, or was it just your 7th child?
No, we've had a home birth for the last 3. The last 2 were water births.
Okay.
And the first two were hospital. And, and this is kind of the journey, part of the journey that we've been on together. Shortly after we got married, my wife was pregnant, maybe about 3 or 4 months, and we had a difficult pregnancy. And she was relegated to bed rest, and then ultimately it ended with a premature birth in the hospital. And the ordeal that we went through with that really, it just awakened us to a whole lot of other things about really what life is about. Because we can't prepackage, they kind of prepackage us as we come up. You do this, you do that, and you follow these scripts, and everything will work fine. And after we went through that, we realized, things don't kind of go that way. And so that's when we began to start really following our intuition a little bit more and really getting spiritual guidance. And so the first and second were hospital births. The second one wasn't premature. But in every experience, my wife began to continue to say that she's not comfortable with the experience. And so the next two births were in a birth center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the third and the fourth were in the birth center. Yeah. And then then the last three were at home.
We're at home. Now look, as you went through the first, the second, the third, the fourth, I said, now I can't leave out the question because so many people want to know. So 7 kids, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my goodness! And so I want to know. We have, when we're out, y'all, we have 4 beautiful children, and people say, "Oh, where are your kids?" And I say, "Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4." They're like, "Oh my gosh, you got 4 kids! You stay," because I know when you all are out, you all get all kinds of comments and say, "Oh my goodness, you got 7 kids." So tell us this: was this a part of your overall plan? Do you feel like it wasn't necessarily what you intended, but it's what God has intended for your family, and it's all good and well? Or were you all from the beginning like, okay, we want to be like the Duggar family on, your Duggar family on TV? Tell us about these 7 children and how y'all got to this place.
Well, we originally already wanted 8. Before we even married, we wanted 8.
You wanted 8, okay.
Yeah. And that's just something that has been put on us. Now, we weren't the type of people that said, we have to have 8, or if we decide less, that we would feel somehow, cut short.
Isabel, where did the number 8 come from?
I don't know.
Actually,
I don't have any.
It was I think I was the one that kind of, he said that he had always wanted to have a lot of children, and I think in my head, the number had just always been 8. So
okay.
We're talking, he said, I want to have a lot. I said, oh, well, 8, is 8 okay? Yeah, 8's cool. So I was like, okay.
All right, okay. All right, well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, when we get that, when you go out and you have a lot of children, and but giving birth is the building block of life.
That's right.
And the society that we live in today has made the option so that you cut off the building block of life in order to suit the system that we live in. And I'm not saying that because the system itself is horrible or anything like that, but the way we live today in the constructs of our society is not how the Creator intended it. This is a byproduct of our collective genius or lack thereof, however you want to term it. So I think and I hope that as we progress, as humanity progresses and as a people we progress, that our lives will become more in harmony with the natural world that's around us, and then we can use the technologies and all the things that we've learned to support that rather than having the industry be our life.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. You know.
Okay. Now, tell us a little bit about, how you all manage. So many people today, so many married couples are struggling every day to try to figure out how to balance their roles and their responsibilities when it comes to raising their families, still maintaining their connection, trying to pursue, what you feel is on your life in terms of your call in life, that is especially for you. So it's just a lot, being human. But definitely when you bring a family into the mix and a committed relationship into the mix, it's a whole nother level. How can you give us just maybe 2 or 3 tips or things that you all do? We always do this with each other or with yourselves individually or even with your children that is pretty much fundamental to how you all operate within your family that's helpful to you?
Okay, well, now this is regarding our relationship. Or this?
Any other? I mean, how you all stay connected? How you all make sure that you give each other space. I mean, any tips that you have for families out here in terms of how you all manage your family and how you stay each other. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, as homemaker, as a woman of the house, the first thing that I would share is that is just the orderliness of the house. What I do personally, I keep a very large schedule, Monday through Saturday, Monday through Sunday, schedule, and on this schedule it basically dictates what each person's chores and responsibilities for each day of the week. And that.
Shami Paria, what are the ages of your children so that our audience knows?
Oh, okay. Our oldest is he just turned 11 years old, and then after that, our second son, Lemuel, he will be 10. He's 9 years old. Then there's Naomi, our oldest daughter. She is 7. Sorry, it takes a little bit of time.
We understand.
There's Nala, she's 5 years old. Then Salome, she's 3. Then Samara, she's 2 years old. And then the baby, he is 5 weeks this past Friday.
Child, I'm telling you, I'm going to give you some praise right now. I just listen. I'm over here all big, like, shoot, I be walking around talking about, I need to get together, but Lord, I got a lot of kids. It's hard, and let me tell you, I just got to give you praise right now because that is a lot of children and a lot of responsibility. But go on, keep on giving us the jewels you were getting ready to drop us. If I was listening close when you were talking about that schedule.
Yeah, so we have that date that I have the schedule that I have put up, so everybody knows what they have to do each day. It's not the same chores each day. It's kind of, it's rotated. Everybody's chores rotate, so they're not doing the same thing every day. That's one of the first things is the schedule. Then another thing that's important is just the day-to-day routine. I've always pretty much been into keeping a regular routine so that not that the day goes exactly according to, like, okay, at 10:30 a.m., this is what's going to be happening, and it's happening like this every single day. Right. But I do have a schedule or a routine where, they're up at 8 o'clock and bedtime is 8 o'clock, and they're in bed. And I, try to stick as closely to that as possible. It provides a sense of security for them when they, know that, okay, by noontime, we're getting ready to go outside. At 2 o'clock, we're coming in having snacks and, washing up and getting ready to settle down. And, it just provides a sense of security because we do homeschool. I don't know if I mentioned that. We homeschool them. So,
you do homeschool?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we do. So that, that helps. Okay.
From my standpoint, pretty much as being the somewhat problem solver in the house. What I try to do is just kind of keep mentally all the challenges that we face. I kind of categorize it. I say, are these good problems to have, or are they bad problems to have? When you got to go someplace and maybe your car, like now we got to get a new van. So because we got additional body that now it can't, there's no more space now.
Right.
So for us, that is not a bad problem to have. Yeah, and so it kind of helps to keep the emotions in check. So you're not running around and saying, "Oh my goodness, I can't have this," or "This is gonna eat at us," And so what I try to do just very quickly in all the situations that we run into, because they really literally come back to back, because it's 8 other individuals in the house.
Right.
For them, it's one problem. But for me, it's, the 9th or the 10th problem. So
Right.
That's very quickly, that's generally what I do. I say, is this a good problem to have or a bad problem to have? The bad problems get tackled quickly. The good ones, we make a plan for it.
I think that's true wisdom that you just spoke right there. That's really wisdom, and I hope that those who are listening really kind of take that in and marinate on that for a second. Folks who are listening need to really listen to that, because I think there's some feedback going on. I hope that it's not messing up what people are hearing.
No, I'm hearing you fine.
Okay. But what you said was really important, because so many times in our relationships, we get so caught into what we're doing and what's happening. Hold on, I'm hearing feedback. I got to pause. Let me see something. Let me try to fix something. Well, we get so caught up into, what is going on day to day, and like you said, the issues. I can't do this because I got to deal with that, and then we get so caught up in being upset and overwhelmed by the issue that we then can't connect to, like you said, you got to get a new van, but the reason I have to get that is because I brought a new life into the world. And so that is a good problem, because we're making space for the newest one. And so everything else is secondary. Anything else that, we got to pull together some more money, or we got to go try to do, that's secondary. It's a good problem to have. And I think the categorization of it is really key, because one of the things you just said is, I'm not going to get caught up into my emotions. We're going to get emotional sometimes, but it allows you to look at things with an even perspective. Really kind of looking at, where does this fit into the scheme of my life, and how does this play out in my family, and then how do I tackle it based on that? And I think that people just don't pay attention to the fact that when we're running our lives individually, when we're running families, it's just like running a business. My husband and I say it all the time. You have to be strategic. You have to implement initiatives and plans. You've got to come back and regroup and figure out what you're going to roll out differently the next go round. It's the same thing within a family. And you just spoke that so beautifully. So I hope that folks really take that in. I'm gonna stop preaching and amening over here, but that was really big.
Yeah, and Ezekiel, we know that it's not all peaches and cream. So one of the things that I often tell people is that, especially brothers, I say that your frustration, it really comes from your inability to be flexible. But what you just mentioned was that, there has to be an element of flexibility just in terms of your perception and how you're viewing the problems that you're confronted with. But one thing that I wanted to know is the space when you are frustrated, which is normal. How do you unwind? How do you debrief? How do you, what do you do to stay connected, to stay in tune, and how do you get beyond that space?
Well, either one of you all can go in first with that.
Well, generally speaking, I think that if there's a sense of frustration, and this is what I appreciate Shami for so much, is that she's able to sense when I need a break.
Okay.
And she makes the space for me.
Mm.
You know, she says, you know, here, go out, you know, take a moment. Or I just tell her, oh, you know, I need to take a break, and she does. Um, and she understands that. The other thing that I do, because of my personality, I'm you know, somewhat of a technical personality. I kind of go into the cosmos, and something that my cosmos is in the shower. If I take an extra long shower, she'll come out, you know, I'll come out, and she'll be like, well, what are you thinking about? Yeah. So it's those little things that do. But even in the midst of doing that, once I've unwind, I remind myself why it is that I'm doing everything that I'm doing. You know, and that's very important, because when it's rattling all out of control, I remind myself why I'm doing it, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's kind of like, you know, when you have a fishing line, and you know, and a fish starts to pull it, and it's taken away. You know, when you trust in your Creator, your higher being, and the calling that you have on your life, whatever your belief system may be, as you find it, the truth that you live, that is as an endless line. And so, you know, and if you look at the fish like a problem, it's going to pull, but that line is going to be there. And at any point, you can just begin to start winding it back in. So that's kind of like what I. So by reminding myself why I'm doing this, I say, you know what, you know, I can move on from here. I can continue. I can pick up the pieces and then continue to go. But you know, one of the things with having a large family is that it doesn't really give you that much time to dwell on anything. Because you know, one will come, and you know, they'll you know, you have, you know, one of them hitting the other one, or somebody said something or did something, and it just infuriates you. And then the next moment, someone comes, the other one, the younger ones might come and do something that's so cute that just fills your heart with love and joy.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's scarier from the outside than it is from the inside.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. We definitely concur. You always, the one thing that my husband and I say all the time is, one thing that we know how to do is to keep it moving. We know how to, you know, keep it moving and, you know, roll with the punches and figure out how to challenge our perceptions, try to figure out, okay, what's really real. And I think you're absolutely right. When you are in the business of building, especially when you have a large family, but really, no matter where you fall, but when you really are in the business of building, and like you said, you know what you're here to do and what you're supposed to be doing, then you can't get so caught up in the everyday stuff that comes along, because there is somewhere that you're going. There's some place you've got to be, and you can sit down to pause, like you said, and get a break, you know, and I say I need to relax for a second, but then it's just in you. You've got to get back up and figure out, how do I move forward, you know, how do we get some wind beneath our wings and keep on flying. So I really do agree with you all there. Shami Poya, what about you? How do you stay connected with your husband and really let down and relax? Sometimes that's harder for women to do. I'll tell you a quick little story. My husband, I used to say to him all the time, back when our children were really, really young. They're still young, but they're not as young. Our children are, we have our oldest is getting ready to be 10. We have a 6-year-old getting ready to be 7. We have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I would get so irritated because my husband knows how to take time for himself, okay? If he needs a break, if he's like, look, I'm getting ready to go take a walk, you know, look, I'm getting ready to go catch a movie, you know, and not all the time, not like he was leaving me hanging, but he was very clear about the fact that I've got to have space for myself. Mm-hmm. And I would get a little irritable, and you know, he would say to me, look, babe, ain't nobody holding you here. Nobody said you couldn't get up and go outside and take a little walk by yourself. Nobody said you couldn't, you know, go and do something on your own. You are not allowing yourself to do that. So he really modeled for me how to take time for myself. I know a lot of women sometimes have that problem. So what about you? Let us in. Are you good about taking time for yourself? Have you mastered that, or are you still a work in progress?
I am probably both. I say both. What happens is I really love, I guess, the freedom of expression. To be able to express myself really helps to alleviate, just the burden of, just the day-to-day rigor and the in and out 24-hour parenting. I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, when you go to sleep at night, I have to still be on call. It's like if I have to be able to sense if something's wrong. If I got a newborn here, I'm just always on call. So that can be a bit, it can be difficult, and but one of the things that and this is part of the reason why I created the channel is because I really enjoy making the videos and just using that as a means to just release. It's very, for me, it's very relaxing. I get to zone out and sort of go into another element that is just out of the house. My brain is out of the house when I'm doing this. So for me, the video, creating the videos, the channel. Also, I like writing poetry, just writing different things, and there's some other things that's not coming to my mind right now for some reason, but also communicating for me, and again, that's expressing yourself. For me, right. I talk to my husband. I mean, we talk a lot. Like, we're always talking. We're always
right.
talking.
Listen at home, pay attention what they said. They're always talking. Communication is key.
No, we're always talking. Like, we're always talking. Aside, if we're not busy doing the roundabout stuff with the children, or taking up business and responsibilities outside the home, we're usually talking. We're talking about, and not just talking about what's going on, but we're talking about how you're feeling, what's going on, what are you thinking about. And so for me, that is one of the things that I'm not the kind of woman that can hide, that I'll get stressed out and then just not talk or close up. Right. If he comes in and I'm stressed out, he knows. I got a tear in my eye, or honey, it's like, I've had a hard day, and I'll usually let him know at work. I'll send him an email. Oh, it's just not going the way I planned it, And so I'll just talk to him, and he always has a way of just taking my emotions and just kind of like showing, like he said, showing me, okay, this is what you're really dealing with here. Okay, you think that you're dealing with this, but in reality, this is what you're dealing with. And then I'll look at it. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, you're right. And when I begin to look at it from that different perspective, I'm like, okay, well, then, it's really not that bad. Or, I can get through this. It's, it's tough. How I'm feeling is tough. It's difficult, but I can get through it, Yeah. And so that is those are the ways, by which I can kind of like pull myself out of just, the stress and just the overload and just all the day-to-day work and whatnot.
Right. Well, I before we get ready to wrap up, I want to just bring one more question to you, which I think is a really important question. It's been a blast just talking to you all, to another young black married couple doing their thing. But I want you all to answer, and just either one of you can answer it, because we're getting a little bit short on time, but tell us what you think about the state of marriage in the black community today, and what you think people of African descent, whether you're in the United States of America or wherever you are, what do folks need to be doing in our community when it comes to marriage? What advice would you have for people who are considering marriage or who are in marriages that where they don't feel very fulfilled, or that kind of thing? Just give us a little glimpse of your thoughts on marriage today in the black community.
I guess I'll try to be as brief as I can, because you all know.
It's a big question.
but just, I guess, my 2 cents worth. Obviously, I think it goes without saying that the role that the family will play in rebuilding our community is the only way. We have great leaders, great businessmen, great minds, great thinkers, a president. But none of that changes what we deal with in our homes. And this is where everything begins, and that's where everything ends. When and it's just not our community; it's every community.
That's right. Yeah,
it's the whole world. In the United States, because of other factors, it tends to be disproportionately compounded. You know, you have, a larger percentage of our population in prisons than as opposed to Hispanics, Caucasians, etc. And it's the same thing all the way across the board. Economics, family matters, all of it's the same. And where we begin to pick up the pieces, it has to start, in my opinion, with each person just picking it up for themselves and doing what you have to do. Because I think that for our community, unlike other communities, we are where we are today because we're supposed to be here. There is a role that we have to fulfill. Other people have come to this land. We were brought here. All right? So if life, the providence of life brought us here, we didn't come of our own free will. So there is a higher working going on here than simply our will, or this is simply the result of, my forefathers making a wrong decision. So the descendants of that generation, we have to play this thing out. But we have to play it out in the way that we know intuitively what is right. There's a reason why we don't excel in certain things. We're naturally inclined. We're a spiritual people. And so if we get caught up in celebrating the things that are not inherent in our cultural DNA, it's going to lead us down a wrong path. We know what it is. And it's pulling together our families, being there for one another, staying at home in the sense of, making sure that your home is the place where it's home based. That's where everything begins and ends. Right.
Well, I don't think that you could have said it any better, and I think honestly, you all and what you represent. I hope that the two of you know that what you represent in the world, that all the people who see you and those like you, all the folks who are listening right now, all of the married folks, all the folks who are going to be married, understand the weight of your walk. That all of us are walking every single day, and people are looking at us. We may not realize it. We may not even understand it. But folks are looking at us because you have made a decision, or you are going to make a decision that I want to be committed to another person. I want to not only build myself, but I want to be a light unto that person's path. I want to be able to reflect what I should be reflecting to my mate so that I can help them to grow in the way that they need to grow. I want to be able to grow up little people who will then help the world to grow up even more. It's a really big deal to be married today, to be building a family, and to be doing it in the Black community, doing it with integrity, with authenticity, and with perseverance and purpose. And I want to salute the both of you because I think you all are an awesome example. I want to thank the both of you for coming on and speaking with us this evening. And I want to make sure that everyone knows it will also be in the post. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you need to visit us at blackloveandmarriage.com so that you can get this information. And if you're on the website, you will see it below. We're going to have a link to Shami Poya's website where she has wonderful information if you're considering home birthing or just about childbearing and pregnancy and that kind of thing. She has a lot of information on her website. We also have a link to her YouTube channel and also her Twitter feed, and she can, if she allows you to follow her. So, again, we want to thank you. And tell us, you can go ahead, Shami Poya, tell us, it's HebrewBaby.com, right?
Yes, HebrewBaby.weebly.com.
Okay, HebrewBaby.weebly.com. And it, again, will be on the site for those who are interested in learning more about this wonderful couple and about childbearing and family raising and all of that good stuff. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Our time is up. We always want to remind everyone, everywhere, who is a part of the blackloveandmarriage.com family that every single day you need to make sure that you are committed to growing, that you are committed to pushing, because at the end of the day, that's what's important. Stop playing. Start pushing.